something that big? I mean, I understand you don't know the full operation. You just know they did it.
I know the full operation because I taught it at the National War College.
Okay, teach us then. What did they do on 9/11?
What they did on 9/11, I don't want to go back into it, but basically they realigned everything that we had in FEMA. They had everything that in terms of the FAA. We don't have to go into specifics. I can give you the logistics. You're going to have to look at the Air Force, who was in charge of the Air Force, what the false flags were, who were the generals at the time. This is not what we have right now. What we have is exceedingly responsible generals.
No, I understand, but people need to know historically.
No, people have to understand that if they want to go back and spend that time now, we're losing time to really understand where we're heading in much faster time, Alex. That's what I'm trying to
I know, but they use 9/11 to have the military-industrial complex start setting up a police state here. We need to kill the myth of 9/11, not just to get us out of Iraq, but to get the TSA out of my pants.
You want to kill the myth of 9/11, then bring Cheney and Bush Jr. before a trial and jury and a prosecutor.
Doc, here's the thing. I want to take my kids. I want to be able to take my kids to Disney World without a fat pedophile abusing them. Okay, so
nobody's going to look. Let me tell you. Let's get it clear. The feds have been doing their job, and they've been doing it very effectively. What happened recently was the killer who has been accused of, where we went into the Sikhs, and it was said that he was trained by the Army to be a killer. It's nonsense. The Army didn't train Mr. Page to be a killer. The Army had him in. He was in there. He was a neo-Nazi. The feds, the FBI in particular, have been exceedingly good at breaking up neo-Nazis. Exceedingly good. However, thanks to 9/11 and Cheney in particular, and Michael Hayden, General Hayden, who monitored everybody during 9/11, the FBI had to pull back. Mueller's a very, very responsible director.
Sure, what I'm saying is I'm sick of the TSA and the checkpoints. We have to kill the myth of 9/11 briefly.
I have no problem with the TSA being disbanded and Homeland Security.
No, I know, but here's the deal then. Briefly, I mean, obviously, yes, Cheney took the power for NORAD to do shoot-downs the month before, gave it back after 9/11. They had drills of the targets being hit, so that's how, I mean, we know about the stand-down, but basically, from what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, the hijackers were doing drills of infiltrating airports and getting on board for the Department of Defense and CIA. They were set up. Nerve gas was released on the aircraft because the people said there's smoke, we can't breathe. Then remote control flew them into the buildings.
Let's get back to the issue. Do we need the TSA? No. I've had problems with them. They rip off the luggage. You've had the lowest level quality employees coming in. They literally ripped off and stole a Class 3 drug that I had, which was a sleeping pill. You have the worst of the worst being brought in, thanks to Chertoff, thanks to the neocons and Bush.
Yeah, they robbed me. They stole
a... Alex, I want your audience to address that issue.
Yes.
Secondly, do we need them? No. Is that an issue for us? No. Is internal security an issue? Yes, but it has to be balanced by the liberties. That's why the FBI has been very responsible on this issue. The TSA is a totally useless organization, which should have been thrown out years ago, and it was set up by the neocons. We don't have a TSA in Europe or Turkey, where I had a lot of Muslims and a lot of potential problems, and they don't have that. So what I'm saying to you, let's address the present issues, but let's go on to, let us give to Caesar that which belongs to Caesar. The FBI has done an incredible job on domestic issues of terrorism without suppression of liberty, on issues of neo-Nazis, of domestic terrorism, and other concerns. If they wanted to suppress our liberties, believe me, they don't have that capability. The internal spanning or electronic eavesdropping that we had came directly from the NSA under General Michael Hayden.
I know.
He's never been brought forth because he has been brought in on I think Mr. Romney has him, unfortunately, as part of the neocon group. But the issue is no one has been held accountable for 9/11. The same way in the banking system, nobody's gone to prison. Now, the reason I go on your show is very simple. I don't need to promote what I have or read my books. As you know, I'm not interested in really talking about myself. What I'm interested in saying is, America, wake up. We're not as bad as we think, and we're not as great as we would like to be. We do have to have responsible representation. The issue of a president is that domestically, most presidents don't have as much power as what people think domestically. The only time a president of the United States has power is internationally. They go to war. That's why Bush Jr. went to war, Cheney went to war, and they created a false flag. And Rumsfeld said it very clearly. If you blame us Republicans for this false flag, then you blame Franklin Roosevelt. Wolfowitz was a father of this plan because he studied stand down under in the University of Chicago. Richard Pearl, Zalmay Khalilzad. The list is endless.
Sure, they were under Lemnitzer. They were under Lemnitzer.
Well, they're not on the Lemnitzer. They were trained by Wohlstetter at Chicago when I was at MIT. We knew about this. This is not this is not unknown. Stand down and false flag was created under Roosevelt. It was created under the LBJ. It's not a privilege to any one administration.
I know, yeah.
Republicans and Democrats have had it. My point now, Alex, is we can work on the past, but we deal with the present and the future. Our biggest problem now for our military has nothing to do with banking, not even the Middle East. It has to do with cyber warfare, which is going on every day now. And a bill was failed in the Senate to support cyber warfare, which we need to support because every minute of every day we're being attacked by countless entities all around the world. I'm not blaming one country, but China is effective in that. And we have not integrated our cyber warfare capacity between the military and the private companies. And I don't know the specifics of the bill, but it failed in the Senate. And here we have a real problem. This is not about suppressing our freedoms or anything else. It's about maintaining the viability of our infrastructures. If we don't address that issue, you can forget the Middle East, you can forget China, because one electron can take down our hydroelectric capacity all the way from Quebec down to Miami. Those are the issues that you should be addressing.
All right. Well, Doc, listen, I really appreciate you spending the hour with us today. StevePieczenik.com, an interesting perspective. And we really appreciate you taking the time out, and hopefully we can get you back up in the near future. Thank you for your courage exposing 9/11 and your insight on the Middle East. All right, there goes Dr. Steve Pieczenik. We're going to come back with Webster Tarpley and get his view on what's happening. But you just heard Dr. Pieczenik saying this backing of al-Qaeda is really nasty. And I can't believe the CFR would put out an article praising al-Qaeda, what great fighters they are. I read it on air last night. The article's up at Infowars.com with links to the CFR. I mean, we're living in la-la land right now. All right, stay with us. More coming up.
You are listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us coming up in the next segment, Webster Tarpley, who's recently been in Syria and Libya after the al-Qaeda takeover. He's going to be joining us. Guys, will you print me the Council on Foreign Relations report that was in Watson's article yesterday so I can actually read those quotes? Or it's over in the other studio from last night where I read the quotes of the CFR going, oh, al-Qaeda is so brave and good and doing such a good job. Listen, if al-Qaeda is brave and good, I'm a monkey's uncle, and I want potbelly pedophiles to not put their hands on my genitals, okay? I don't want checkpoints. I don't want all this stupid paranoia, okay? And let me tell you, the military is gearing up for martial law in this country and a giant Iran attack. Just that simple. And they staged 9/11. They could stage anything. We're in a lot of trouble, and I'm tired of it. I want my country back. I don't want to be a slave. It's real simple. I don't want foreign banks overrunning us and robbing the Treasury. Jim in Minnesota, you're on the air. Thanks for holding, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had some comments. I don't quite understand. I've been a citizen for a constitutional republic since 1990. And it just seems to me that if we take a dog license from the federal government, that we shouldn't be surprised how they treat us. Are you familiar with the power of visitation?
All right, you're getting into a bunch of patriot legal stuff about what type of citizen you are versus being part of the whole corporate globalist fiction. I know there's a lot of truth to that. The problem is the globalists don't care. They bomb whatever country, they drone whatever country, they put poison in the vaccines. They're lawless, flagrant criminals, because we haven't gotten in their face and denounced them as scum. It's an info war. All the legalese and stuff, Jim, just doesn't really go anywhere because they don't care. I mean, I do think if you get out of their system and you want to effectively choose that route, that does hurt them. when people just don't comply with any of it, just do whatever you want, they're almost powerless. The problem is, then it's hard to operate on a large scale. Individually, if you have skills, you can operate pretty much out of the system. But to scale up to what we're doing, you can't do it. I appreciate your call, because I don't know really where you're going, and I'm done with that. Dave in Michigan, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Yesterday's show was a real treat for me because you had on one of my heroes, William Norman Grigg. Now, he didn't get his information out, and I think he's too humble an individual to ask for that. But I'd like to do that, if I may.
Well, I gave his website out about 50 times.
Let me...
Hold on just a minute. I don't mind. Am I bad I had him on? Are you saying I didn't have him on, or what?
No, that was excellent that you...
No, but I'm confused. We gave his website out over and over again.
Okay, there's other stuff of his, which I'd like to review, if I may.
Sure.
Okay, first he has a blog called freedominourtime.blogspot.com. Has entries in it dating back to August 2006. If you take those and resequence them, you almost have a good quality textbook.
No, he's super smart. I'm really impressed. I've been watching his stuff and reading it for 17, 18 years, but he's very impressive.
And then he has a radio show, or he's a guest on a radio show called Radio Liberty with Dr. Stanley Monteith. That's a Friday evening show.
Yeah, no, Monteith's on this network. As a talk show, he probably didn't plug his show because that's not very polite. But listen, I got to jump. I appreciate you joining us. I'll be on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and he'll be like, plug your radio show, which is just over the top nice. And I'm kind of like, okay, Infowars.com. But that's why that's happening. All right, we'll be right back with Webster Griffin Tarpley and Dan listening on XM 166. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Another worldwide hour, another transmission globally. You are listening to the voice of Alex Jones from Austin, Texas. That's me. And I know that we've got a bunch of callers. Webster Tarpley will be with us via cell phone as he drives to a TV interview for about 30 minutes. Then we'll take some calls. And then popping in, he just won his primary up in Michigan for Congress. That's right, Kurt Haskell, who witnessed the federal government getting the underwear bomber on the plane to blame the jihadis so they could have a pretext to have TSA roll out the body scanners. He's going to be popping in for about 10 minutes as well to talk about that victory so far. And we'll also get into Parkinson's sufferer arrested for not smiling in Olympic men's cycling race. This is the total paranoia of the 1984 police state. Actually, in 1984, if you didn't smile during the 10 minutes of hate while worshiping BB, Big Brother, you would be taken away to the ministry of love. And then, of course, the propagandists all worked at the ministry of truth. War is peace. Freedom is, of course, a bad thing. Now, we're going to be talking to Dr. Webster Tarpley, Doctor of History also an economist, about his visits to war-torn, globalist-torn Syria. Here in a moment. He was also in Libya during the bombardment and predicted all of what's now unfolding. And now we've gone from them denying al-Qaeda as the main force to the CFR last week. We read the article last night on the news saying that al-Qaeda is brave and bringing leadership and hardness and is doing a great job.